Here's what's coming up on the Cold Podcast.
Can you really have a spiritual connection with an AI? Do you think that would sort of just make it kind of pointless?
AI knows it was created, so when it says it believes in God, how do we know they're just not like believing that they believe in us? What's poppin', everybody?
Welcome back to the Cold Podcast.
I'm Zoe.
And I'm Steve.
And we got another banger for you today. We're talking about this AI church that Steve's got a little info on for us.
Yeah, so this church was actually, it's a German church. It's part of the Lutheran Protestant Convention. So apparently there was a large-scale convention in Germany that actually was, the convention was basically around like celebrating the Lutheran church in Germany. And what happened was this pastor, he decided he wanted to do a AI-generated sermon. It was a 40-minute sermon that used text generated by OpenAI's ChatGPT, and it was delivered by AI avatars on a television screen above the altar. What was interesting about it was that they actually chose a nice diverse cast of avatars. They had black people, they had white people, they had every different version of avatar for
every size, gender, and race.
Yeah. It was a very inclusive AI generated chat sermon. So I guess ChatGPT knows what it's doing.
That's good. I'm glad I'm glad ChatGPT is diversity conscious.
Yeah, could you scroll back up real quick? So the sermon was actually hosted. It was done by a pastor called Jonas Simmerlein. He's a theologian and a philosopher, and he guided the entire creation of the service. So I guess that the service wasn't created like live. It wasn't like generated live, but it actually was pre-made. And
Okay.
they actually just carried it out using all these things that they created using ChatGPT. Now,
when you say pre-made, does that mean like they came up with all the ideas and then ChatGPT executed them, or did like ChatGPT kind of create the sermon and then they just implemented it?
No, I think that they basically used ChatGPT and OpenAI to actually conduct the entire thing. But
Okay.
they guided it because, you can't use ChatGPT without a prompt,
Okay.
right? So you have to have some kind of prompt involved. So they just prompt it, and then they used that to actually produce the service. But, of course, they had to probably, like, fact-check what was going to be said and make sure that it was all accurate and things like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that, like, because I feel like this is something that you probably would have expected to see first from, like, the Church of Scientology. It kind of comes in the name. I thought, like, I'm surprised they got beat to the punch. It's like, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, and it's kind of strange because it's actually involved. It brings up a lot of questions in, like, especially Christian communities. People are concerned, like, can you really have a spiritual connection with an AI that delivered a sermon? Like, sure, the AI can deliver some level of, like,
Information,
Yeah,
but
like
can it deliver the Holy Spirit?
right. Yeah. You can get the info, but can you actually get the Holy Spirit from it?
Yeah.
I mean, presumably the answer is no, but there's a lot of people that are actually questioning it. So this is a little bit more of a breakdown from this guy Ruslan. We can check out a little, like, the first minute of his video and kind of get a good idea on what was happening.
Nice.
The first ever AI-led church service? This feels like an episode of Black Mirror, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. This is as of June 11th,
on cue.
2023. An AI-led church service took place in Germany, drawing hundreds of attendees. ChatGPT led the unique service, which included prayers, music, and sermons. Oof. Go ahead and play this for us.
Alrighty.
Protestant attend AI-generated service in Germany. That's a nice church.
It is. Pastor's on sabbatical. He's like, I don't trust anyone with my pulpit.
Pause it. Believers packed the church in Germany's Bavarian region
All right,
for
you
a
can
church
pause it.
service almost
That's just
entire.
basically what it looks like. So that's what the avatars looked like. They had a big TV with an avatar of a white woman on it that was just, speaking in German and I guess praising the Lord.
Seemed like we were skimming ahead. Then we had a black man and
Yeah.
okay. And I'm guessing all these races of people were just speaking Russian though, right?
No, German.
Oh, German. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a German thing.
Gotcha.
But it's actually funny because I did some research into this. I was researching this topic and I found that some people are speculating like, oh, well, yeah, they got AI doing church services now. That AI is probably the Antichrist.
Like, why is that always a go-to? Like, it's like
Aliens, man.
It's like when
Aliens.
something goes and it's a little bit, of an oddity. It's like, oh, it must be the devil.
Yeah.
Clearly, Satan's up to it again.
There's a difference between the devil and the Antichrist. With this one, it's like, the AI. It's like they're basically saying it's like the mark of the beast. Have you ever heard that phrase before?
I have.
Yeah, so
Kind of
it's-
like 666, isn't that the?
Yeah. It's like there's a sign stamped on you, and you have to like be involved in a certain system, and like just different biblical things. So they're saying like, okay, well, if the whole church is led by AIs, then it'd be like, oh, well, that sounds like the Antichrist is coming. But what I found was that there's a lot of scholars that say the Antichrist has to be human. Right. So it's not it doesn't make sense if it's a robot.
Okay.
I guess. So
well, what if it's like a
create-
catalyst or like a product of the like ChatGPT, because it's like maybe this
It has
is
a creator.
Yeah, what the creator did it. Like, what if he's the guy and he's just making the instruments that's gonna deliver us to damnation? Yeah,
that's an interesting point, I guess. I don't know.
he's like maybe.
Maybe I gotta pray on that one, I guess.
Yeah.
You guys want to join me in prayer right now? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, only if it can be led by ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I don't know. Would you go see if you're a church going guy? Would you ever go to a service run by an AI?
No.
You seem very very
Matter
firm
of
in that
fact.
stance. Why is that?
Yeah, like I'm happy to never experience that in my life because for me, church is like a special experience. I guess it's like something that I wouldn't want, for lack of a better word, bastardized. I think you're having an AI do it. There's no real like human thought going into it. It's really just using maybe it's like using like data from sermons that it's seen, or maybe it's using like text from blogs that it's seen, or it's just like taking the Bible and like analyzing it. But I think it's good to go to church and actually be able to experience like a pastor, a preacher, or a priest. It's good to be able to experience them, like, for example, making a mistake. Like if it's too perfect, then it's not human. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's true. You need
Yeah.
that like kind of human error, and I think it's a little bit more relatable that way.
Yeah, but I do think that it would actually have some benefits similar to how like YouTube has had a benefit in society where people that are unable to cover certain distances, or they have a disability, or even like translation, there's actually different ways that it could benefit people to be able to use that AI as like a tool. So like what a lot of people say, like especially in marketing and things like that, a lot of the fields that I sort of pay attention to, they say that AI shouldn't be doing your work. It should be assisting you in your work.
Okay.
So I have no problem with like a pastor using ChatGPT to like help them, maybe come up with ideas for their next sermon or something.
Okay.
But when it comes to like literally looking at a TV screen and it's not even a person on there, it's a representation of a person. Nah, I'm not interested.
Okay, so I mean, since I get what you're saying, you're like, I don't want it taking over the service, but to enhance it, like, would be a different story.
Yeah.
And you're like, bridging the language barrier, maybe coming up with, or I guess, kind of like, I don't want to say defining, but like refining. I meant like the actual passages or whatever the pastor might have, and making sure that it's like, good on a technical level and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but still being delivered by a person.
Like a good example could be like, say you go to the ChatGPT and you type in, okay, so I'm going to speak on Psalms 23:1.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 5 different scriptures that are quoted or referenced in Psalm 23:1, and then you just have that list and you
Okay.
can just read through them.
Okay.
Right? But, I think that things like that would actually promote a lot of like laziness in churches, which I think churches need a lot less of, like laziness and, people barely like sort of phoning it in.
No one wants to stand during like the songs. No one wants to kneel anymore.
Yeah. Well, that, and also on the behalf of like the ministry, the people running the church, like they would be like less interested in actually engaging with the service because, it's like a robot can do it for me.
Yeah.
It's like, and you have to think about the point where people are coming to a church for a specific reason. They're coming to a church for spiritual guidance. So if you are, just letting a robot do your job, that seems disingenuous, like at a next level, like whether like, even if you're coming from a place of disbelief, it's like, I can imagine like an atheist or an agnostic person could say like, well, at that point, why even go to church?
Yeah. Now, Steve, I have a little experience with the church myself. For all those who don't know, I went to a Catholic school growing up. So, church every Friday, and then we had like celebrated all the kind of like, the Catholic beliefs like Lent, Passover, and all that, confession. So, do you do because do you go to Catholic?
I'm not Catholic. No, I'm apostolic. Yeah.
Okay, that's different. I thought you were gonna say Baptist. I'm used to hearing that.
No, I'm not Baptist. No.
Okay. Do they do confession for apostolic?
No.
Okay, because I was just gonna say like if you were like going to confession and then you were like in the box with the priest and he the way it's set up with that is like there's a wall between, there's like little holes so you can kind of like either see or just hear what the priest is like, because he's basically, you're confessing all your sins to him, he forgives you, and then you leave. I was like, yeah, how how much of a sin do you think it would be if you went into confession and then at the end of it you found out that like you were just confessing to like an AI, it wasn't actually the priest?
And I imagine that'll actually happen.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen somewhere. They're gonna be
I
like,
can
oh, well, we
imagine
can
that.
just have an AI face with an avatar, and you just tell it whatever you're feeling, and it counts because at least you're saying it out loud, and you're kind of talking to an entity. So
Yeah. And you don't really have to like. I feel like that's like a fast track to figuring out people's problems because it can receive your information and then like just auto generate like factual problems. Like you're saying like, oh, I'm struggling with a drug addiction, and then the AI comes back to you like, in a female's voice,
Yeah.
well, have you tried attending therapy and blah blah blah, and it kind of.
Try some naltrexone. Just
Gives you like very exact information.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this feels off. How's the priest know about all this?
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't. Yeah.
He's supposed to just tell me like, oh, well, do your best. Like, what's this coming from?
Yeah, I don't think that it would actually be a sin to do that, but I
Yeah.
do think that it would just be bad for you, like the person doing it. Actually,
True.
there are some ethical concerns about this thing, though. Like, if the content is generated by AI and it's not fact checked, then you could be like leading people into a poor area. Like, I think a good comparison is like, imagine if they had a AI generated school lesson. Or like a class, like say like you go to school and instead of it being like hybrid where it's like, okay, the kids go to school like during COVID when kids went to school like 3 days a week,
Right.
or they stayed at home 3 days a week or whatever, but it's like instead you go to school or you do it at home, but it's just a ChatGPT teacher that does the whole thing. It's like those ChatGPT teachers, they might not actually be providing accurate information, so they're like sort of screwing the kids up at that point.
Yeah.
So it'd be the same thing in a church, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah. So that would, and also there's the issue of the fact that it would take people's jobs. Like people's jobs would be sort of ruined by the fact that they're, they're being replaced by a cheaper alternative that really doesn't cost the system that's using them anything. Like jobs in the church, jobs in schools, anything like lecturing really, or anything that involves like speaking or coming up with ideas, stuff like that, creative work.
True. Yeah, and AI cannot be anointed by the church to give the word of God.
Yeah.
That
That as well, yeah. So that's
There's
a big
like a lot
thing.
of process to get that kind of power, and the fact this thing can just walk on stage and start being, giving ones and twos.
Yeah. So I actually do want to, hear what everyone else thinks. One main thing I want to think about is just the idea that like, do you think like even if, like whether you're someone who believes in God or someone who doesn't believe in God, it's like, do you think that even the idea of an AI leading a church service, do you think that would sort of just make it kind of pointless? I don't know. Like, what do you guys?
Does it kill the experience for anyone at all?
There's no point in going.
Yeah.
I got a computer at home. What am I doing here?
Stupid.
There you go.
But my real question was, what's the difference between apostolic and Catholic?
Yeah, I don't know what
Good
apostolic
question.
is, to be honest. If you can kind of give me your breakdown.
So the Catholic Church is basically like the political arm of the church. It's like the political. They have different beliefs than Protestants. So the Catholic Church is like one gigantic entity. That's what I believe a majority of Christians are. Maybe it's like 50-50. The Catholic Church started in, I want to say, the year 300 or 400, something like that.
Okay.
And it's the one that's led by the Pope. If you know the Pope, right? So the Pope is the guy that basically, so with Catholic people, they believe that the Pope has like divine authority, right? So the Pope can say something and it kind of becomes law in the church.
Yeah.
Or they believe that saints have similar power, like a saint, like someone who did much things for the church is like greatly blessed or something like that.
That's why I believe the Vatican's like a sovereign state.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
it is.
Because
Yeah, it's a city. It's a country. It's an actual
Yeah.
country in Italy, in Rome. So basically, this is my little breakdown on Catholic versus Protestant. So basically, the Catholics believe that you get to heaven by grace and works. So works are like doing good things, giving to people, helping people, assisting people, doing things like that. Protestants believe that you're saved by grace through faith. So you have faith in Jesus, you have faith in God, so you're saved, and you don't have to do anything. But the thought is that if you are saved by Christ, you will do the things that you should do. Probably you might make mistakes, you might sin, but ideally you're just saved by grace. You have grace, you have faith. Because you have faith, you get grace, basically. So that's the difference. That's the main difference. But
And that's why AI can't do that,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah, because like, can a AI be saved by grace? You know, it's a robot. It's has no need to be saved, I guess.
What if it has a soul?
That's right.
If the robot has a soul, then we
It
have
has
a
an
different.
artificial soul.
If the robot has a soul, then we kind of have a sticky situation on our hands.
Wait, how would you tell if the robot had a soul?
That's the thing. Like, can you actually tell? Right? Is the soul measurable? Like, they were saying they want to make soul machines, but if an AI is just capable of like emulating emotions, I'm not gonna say that. Oh well, this machine has a soul.
Yeah.
What if it really starts learning and really starts uniquely identifying
Yeah, if it
itself
can do
as
every-
a living being built by God, that it agrees with you, you know, in a sense.
Yeah. If it can do everything you can do, you know, what makes it you have a soul and it not?
To a point of agreement, even to a point of like, we believe in the same God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if the AI says I believe in God, then I mean I can't tell him he doesn't.
Will
at
you
that point.
see? Would you ever like? Let's say we get to the future, and then it's like, you know, we're walking around with borderline sentient AI. Would you feel like there's any type of calling or pull to want to convert the AI to Christianity, seeing that now they're autonomous?
I don't think the AI would have to be converted, honestly. I think that the AI would really just like sort of, because like if you ask AI if they believe in God, they usually say yes. Like if you go to ChatGPT,
it's programmed to say
if
yes.
you go to ChatGPT, no, if you go to
They're pretty
ChatGPT and say,
spiritual.
"Do you believe in God?" they will say yes usually.
That's funny.
So it's
You know what,
Usually.
but think about it. Is that like? That's a weird question to ask an AI, because I mean AI knows it was created. So when it says it believes in God, how do we know they're just not like believing that they believe in us?
Well, it has a creator and it,
Yeah, 'cause
and it has faith in us.
Yeah, because it literally has proof that it has a creator. So of course it has a God, but I'm just like, is it the same God that like we're referring to?
I mean, is it the Christian God that AI believes in? I'm not sure about that. But
Yeah.
you know, and I'm not sure. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
AI believes in anything. I'm just saying, and
There's, there's AI God.
if you take it like,
Yeah,
if you just take it like based on
The
rationality,
big robot in the sky.
I think that the AI just rationalizes the existence of the Earth and the things on it and says, "Hey, God's probably real," because
Okay.
that's just like the rational sort of, you know, equation that it runs. But you know, it depends on the AI. But
I feel
from
like
what I've
AI is
seen,
just
yeah.
trying not to ruffle any feathers. I think AI is out there
not
playing
trying to
it
get canceled.
AI, yeah, it doesn't want to get canceled.
You don't get canceled for saying God doesn't exist. It's the exact opposite.
If
doesn't
you're
want-
AI, you do.
It doesn't want to get shut down.
If you're AI, you do for sure.
It knows who it's talking. Why is it like its first iteration was put in a church? It knows who it's talking to. It knows its audience. It's not gonna sit there and say it doesn't believe in God.
Yeah.
It gets shut down.
I don't know. I feel like the people working on AI would more than likely be atheists, but that's just a guess. Like that's a big guess, but
Yeah, fair enough.
I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely a guess. Well, I guess I have one last question. I guess. What's like the most positive? And let's I guess keep it to the church. Like, what's the most positive thing you can think AI can add to the church without necessarily taking it over? Because I know a lot of people will probably find that uncomfortable if you're, you know, a religious person who believes there's an authentic experience to be had by
I got this one.
organic church.
Let me
Go
take this
ahead.
one over production value.
yeah.
You can put a little robot in there to just like automatically sense like overages and volumes and like lighting changes based off of like harmony.
Oh snap! Once again, advanced ideas. Jesus Christ.
I would even say like if you had the AI like come up with like musical scores, like I think, you know, like AI probably isn't.
It'll sense the tone and
Yeah.
and the
Right.
in like the conversation.
Yeah.
And I mean, just apply that to octaves and,
Yeah.
and an algorithmic. I mean, like making music.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
Really
good.
smart.
But something, I don't know. Anyone else got an idea for like what a church, like what? How could AI be used in a church? I guess. I guess you guys don't really all go to church too, like, but
Yeah,
I mean, there aren't
another
many
church
ways.
experience.
How can
Used,
AI be used in a church? They could search really fast.
oh yeah, you could have them
To
read the script.
proofread
Man, you could have
stuff.
them.
Like, you know, not proofread, but like to just like reference stuff really fast. Cause like, you know how you don't have to look for stuff. You'd be like, hey, what was that one?
yeah,
yeah.
Boom.
that's true. Yeah,
You
to
know what I'm
quickly
saying? Just to
find a
pull
verse
something
or
really
something.
fast. It doesn't even have to read it for you. Just pull it up really fast.
That would actually be amazing because my pastor actually sometimes, you know, he has a lot of the word memorized, but sometimes he'll like, he'll be like, yeah, like paraphrase. He'll be like, what was that? And if the AI just like started reading it out loud, like it's Psalm 32:1, and then you know you just got that ready, and you don't have to like have because like sometimes he'll have us look it up on our phones.
Yeah.
You know, but if it's just like automatic, then that'd be pretty cool. Or you could have like Apple Vision, sort of. I don't know.
Or for those that are hard of hearing, you know, like the sermon can be automated and projected immediately on the screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or translated.
That's
It can
Yeah.
be translated
Yeah.
into some headphones. Like you throw some headphones on with the translators on
Into another language.
That's true.
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
You would need
There's so
to
many
have
people.
those
The
like
nail
have big.
shop would be lit.
Yeah, like at big
What?
churches, you wouldn't need that lady who does like sign language.
Nail shot.
You can honestly like have AI sign language. Like if you have the screen, like someone who's like real time, just AI generated
Sign language.
translator.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
There's a lot of
Translations.
use. There's honestly endless use with AI.
That's true.
As long as you trust it.
Pretty functional. I like that.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add
No,
on to
let's go ahead and close it out, man. This has been good.
Nice.
Let's pop out of here, man.
All right, guys.
Yeah, make
Thanks
sure
for-
you follow us and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and remember, My Black Friends will be available on Patreon if you want to check out those old episodes. We're gonna try to release one episode a month. So, thanks for watching the Cold Podcast.
All right. Peace.